Welcome to Changing Your Perception of What It Means to Be Disabled. My name is Justin Castro. I'm a 32-year-old male with cerebral palsy from Austin, Texas, in the United States. So today, I want to start out by saying thank you so much for allowing me to speak at this conference. It's a great opportunity to really speak on inclusion because I think it's a topic that is not widely discussed, especially on a worldwide stage. It really is awesome to see conferences like these being able to use technology to cross cultural boundaries and talk about such an important topic that definitely needs more attention. So thank you for this wonderful opportunity. And I apologize if you hear any any noise in the background. American football is on right now, so there's a game going on in my house. So and it's American football. I don't know how it is in Saudi Arabia, but American football is huge over here. Anyway, I'm a 32-year-old male with cerebral palsy, and cerebral palsy is a physical disability that affects your motor function and balance. And I use forearm crutches to walk. I was diagnosed at the age of 2. And I just want to tell you a little bit about my experience living with a disability, what it's like for me. Obviously, it's different for everybody, but I just want to share with you my experience, my journey of how my perception of my disability has changed over time, how my disability has really shaped my life, what it's taught me, some of the challenges I've faced as a person living with a disability, and how I've overcome those challenges. Also, how we can help those with a disability feel more like valuable parts of society. So again, I was diagnosed at the age of 2, and growing up, my parents always tried to instill in me that I could do anything I set my mind to. Right? They always taught me that my disability should not limit what I go after, right, and what I can achieve. And that was a really valuable lesson for me to learn at an early age, because it made me believe in myself more. Now, growing up, I had, some ups and downs, of course, and, it was difficult sometimes. My disability would get me down, or I would feel, like, oh, why can't I walk, or do things like my normal kids, and sometimes, I would wonder if I could, would be able to succeed at certain things. But overall, they gave me a really strong foundation with instilling within me that belief that I could do anything I set my mind to. And, growing up, for the most part, my peers pretty much accepted who I was. I had, quote unquote, a normal, friend group, and, I was very fortunate to, everybody accepted me for who I was, and they knew I had a disability. My classmates in school, they treated me like a normal human being. And so I was really blessed to have really grow up around a welcoming group of people. Now outside of the classroom and the school setting, in the normal world, I occasionally would encounter adults who didn't know, they didn't know much about, people with disabilities, usually random strangers who I would meet for the first time, and they would talk to me really slowly, or, talk to me in a condescending kind of manner, almost like they would assume that I had an intellectual disability, sometimes because they saw my physical disability. And that's kind of one of the biggest misconceptions I have encountered in my life, is that people sometimes assume that I don't understand things because I have a disability, or can't comprehend what's going on because, of my condition. And that's simply not the case, and it's not their fault. They just don't know, right? And so when we encounter people like that, I think, it's a natural reaction for some people to get upset or angry, but I think the best reaction is to teach them, right? We need to teach people about what it means to be living with a disability, what it's like to live with a disability, right? And that's why conferences like these exist, because to educate people. And so I would usually think it was, to me, I would, humor it helps me cope with my disability. I would kind of usually laugh it off or say, oh, those people are, they're kind of, they need a little, they just don't know. I would try to insert, use big words that I had learned when I was younger, when I learned in school to see that to show them that I was intelligent, and sometimes they would understand, sometimes they wouldn't. But my favorite part was when they would understand, or they would realize, and that moment on their face, they would get very wide-eyed, and it would kind of make me laugh. But for the most part, most adults, really they didn't assume things. That happened occasionally, but I'd say overall most people were pretty open-minded, and knew that I was intelligent, and really valued me as a part of their community and society, and with those who I knew, especially my friends and family. So I was really fortunate to have that strong foundation. Now my favorite, I love when kids, usually small kids, will ask me about my disability, or young, kindergartners. They'll say, "Oh, what happened to you?" And I'll explain to them. Sometimes I had one of my family friends, who recently, about a year ago, she's 5 years old, and we were swimming at the pool, and she was like, and I needed help getting out of the pool. And she was like, why do you need help? What's wrong with you? And I said, I have physical disability. And she's like, well, I think you should exercise more. It was really innocent. It was a really innocent response. But it kind of made me laugh, because she didn't know. And so I love interactions like that when kids are they're kind of funny and they make some response like that. And, usually I joke around with them. I try to make light of the situation. So I really think humor's been a really important part of how I approach my disability and just life in general, because life's too short. We have to laugh at things. It's important to it helps us look at life with a positive outlook when we laugh. So, but as I got older, when I was in high school, really was the first time that I had a major shift in the way that I perceived my disability. Right? Because growing up, I had physical therapists who would help me exercise, work out, decrease my muscle tightness, because my muscles sometimes tense up and really get tight, which makes it kind of uncomfortable. And so they would help me with that, and I experienced some progress with that, in my physical therapy sessions, but it was never really something that really I felt like, wow, I'm really improving. I always kind of had in the mindset that there was a ceiling of how much I could really improve. But one of my physical therapists, her name was Linda, in high school, she pushed me to walk, because I can walk for short distance. I can walk for short distances without my crutches. And so she knew this, and she pushed me to walk the length of try walking the length of a hallway, and see how far I could go. And I thought, oh, that'll be cool. But I really didn't expect to improve that much. But she worked with me over the course of probably a year and a half. And I got to the point where I could walk several hallways without falling over, without getting tired. And so that was the first time, really, a big physical shift where I had seen some sort of improvement. I said, wow, I didn't realize I could improve that much, physically. I didn't, and she pushed me. She really made me believe in myself, which, to me was cool. And so that was the first time that I really felt like I had control over my body. I could physically do things for myself, right? Or physically improve in a new way. So, and then as I got older, though, I think one of the hardest challenges was for me was romantic relationships. I really shied away from those in my younger adult years. It was only recently that I really kind of ventured into that area, because I was kind of afraid of what girls would think of me, or maybe my body was not as masculine, or maybe I'm not as physically fit as some other people. So what if I get rejected? I think in terms of romantic relationships, I think rejection is something we all deal with. But I was worried about what other people would think of my body, and and so I was really afraid to be vulnerable in a romantic way. But over time, I have now realized that it's my perception of my disability defines my disability. My disability does not define me. But I've learned to accept it in a way, in a more unique way that is not that. Yeah, because some people won't. The truth is, some people aren't going to accept you, right? No matter if you have a disability or not. Some people will accept you, some people will not. And the people that don't, well, they don't deserve to be in your life, right? Because all we can do for ourselves is show up in an authentic way that resonates with who we are as people. But if we do that, then the right people will show up in our lives when we need them. And so that's really what I've learned overall, is to accept myself, and that I define my disability. My disability does not define me. And then after I graduated college from Texas A&M University with a Bachelor of Science in Psychology. And after I graduated college was kind of the next big eye-opening experience, or the next part of my journey as far as my disability is concerned, in which my perception changed again. And I realized, and so that was when I started, after I graduated college, I started getting involved in alternative health, right? Because growing up, I had good physical therapists, like my physical therapist Linda. I had good doctors and people who helped me take care of my health and manage my body. But I always knew there was something more. So I wanted to see what alternative health had to offer. So I started meditating and really delving into the emotions right inside my body, right? Learning to accept myself to a greater degree, right? And as I practiced meditation, I found that I could really I found a new understanding of just what was going on inside my body, right? I could feel more deeply into myself, right? And I really realized that we hold emotions in our body, right? And what we hold in our body creates our reality. And our internal experience is a direct reflection of our external experience. Right, so I meditated more and more, and I noticed that my body was feeling looser. And the more that I learned to really meditate and relax in my body, be more comfortable with who I am, accept myself, love myself, my body was feeling looser. I could walk better. I could sleep better. I just overall felt better. And so I was doing this practice, and it was just really amazing. And it was the second time in my life, well, really third time in my life, where I felt like I had achieved a new level of healing in my body. And it was just amazing. I didn't know that I could feel this comfortable, this loose, this accepting of myself and my body. And it was just an amazing feeling. And I think, I really felt like I had healed a big part of myself. Right? And this is the thing I'm still learning. Right? I think I'm still learning how to accept myself. I think it's a lifelong process. And sometimes my healing journey had a lot of ups and downs. But spirituality has really opened me up to a new level of a new, more peaceful, expanded way of thinking. And so it was just great to, be able to I never thought I could reach that in my life. And, like I said, my healing journey's had ups and downs. Sometimes some days are better than others. And I don't ever think healing or life is a straight line of upward progression. Sometimes we have to go backwards in order to move forwards. And so it's sometimes where I do wake up some days where I'm like, oh man, it sucks. My body doesn't cooperate, and I just don't feel good. And that's okay. When I first started meditating and I really gaining these results, like good results, I was like, wow, and awesome, and then a little while longer, and I started to sometimes like those results didn't stick right away, and I was like, I would get down on myself and say, oh man, like what am I doing wrong? Like why is this not happening? Blah blah blah. And I would get up in my head, oh, I must have done something wrong. I'm not doing my practice right. Well, what I've learned is that healing is a wavy line, right? Some days are better than others, but as long as we're learning and we're open-minded, there's always a reason for the experience that we're going through, right? We have a choice. We can't control our external experiences, but we can control how we approach those challenges, right? We have a choice of positive attitude or a negative attitude, right? And those attitudes directly affect how we experience life, right? So what my disabilities taught me overall is to enjoy life more, is to accept myself, to love each other, right? To accept other people around me, right? And to try not get wrapped up when things aren't going my way and things, maybe my body and my disability and I'm getting down. Try not to get wrapped up in that. Try to be really positive about my life and where I'm going, and it doesn't always work. Sometimes I'm more positive than others, but overall, I try to roll with the punches of life and let it take me somewhere, right? Because ultimately, we're on a track. Like, we are not the ones in control. I think we come in this life with a plan, and spiritual healing and meditation and just over my whole life's journey, I've learned that my disability has a purpose. And that purpose is to teach me self-acceptance and also love and acceptance of other people. Right? And so I think if we can give them my main message for you today is to love each other, right? And to teach people with disabilities that they are valuable, right? Because I think it doesn't always seem like it, but every challenge is a gift. Even the physical disability, right? People with physical disabilities have such a unique, and any sort of disability at all, have such a unique perspective on life, right? I think, when I meet someone with a disability, whether it be an intellectual disability, a physical disability, autism, whatever it may be, I always learn something, right, from them. And so, if we can teach people with disabilities to really express themselves in an authentic way and help them understand that they are valuable, right? Just because they exist. And I think that goes for anybody. Everyone is valuable. Everyone has something valuable to offer this world just because they exist. Right? I think Western society focuses on achieving things and how successful we can be and whatnot. But it's not that those things, achieving things aren't important, because achieving things are important. But what's most important is that we feel internally valued, right? And everyone has internal value that is just there, no matter what. No matter what we achieve, no matter what quote-unquote success we have in our life, we're always valuable, right? And so that's the main message, I think. If you know somebody with a disability or are somebody with a disability, I want you to feel accepted and valued, that you are loved, that you do have a great gift to offer the world. Right? That's my main message today, is that you're an incredible person. And to live authentically, to the best that you can be. And some days it may look like maybe a bit rocky, and that's okay. But the more that we can roll with those punches and accept ourselves, the better off we'll be. Right. And I think that as far as disability inclusions and, there are great services, this conference was obviously a great eye-opener, a great door opener. And we may not have all the answers yet as far as services are going and programs. And there are those programs, they are coming. They are getting better. But, and they will continue to get better. But we don't have all the answers, right? And we may never have all the answers, but we're getting there, right? And I think it starts with love. It starts with self-acceptance. And it starts with how we internally feel about ourselves. Right, so thank y'all so much for letting me speak to you today. I really appreciate you. And I hope to catch some of your other talks at the once the conference begins. And I hope to speak with you in the future. And I hope to speak with you in the future.